So I'm sitting here, I'm trying to work out amidst a billion thoughts, and uh, I was thinking about um, how what we think of as righteousness is superficial. There's much deeper things that are much harder to see, more valuable to encounter and attain, and um, more consummate in um, how deeply and broadly they take hold in our minds and our hearts. And I was thinking back to a couple of experiences in my life. One, um, specifically of people who, on the surface, casual contact, it would be unlikely that someone would say, "Here's an example of someone that can, whose life can elucidate to me a step towards greater righteousness." Um, so one of these people, um, I was on a road trip, and it was Christmas Eve. It was late, and I was in the middle of nowhere. And my truck, there's a blizzard, and my truck went off the road. It was almost a cartoonishly ridiculous embankment. It was so steep. Um, anyway, so there I was at the bottom of this big, uh, deep ditch on Christmas Eve, late, uh, in feet of snow. And so many people stopped. It was like a real life Good Samaritan situation. So many people stopped and they shouted down, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not hurt, but no, I'm not okay." Um, and uh, they were like, "Well, I'm really sorry." And then they just drove away. It happened a bunch of times. And I was just racking my brain, like, uh, how do I get out of this one? And I didn't have any cell service there. I didn't have a shovel or anything. I had a little, anyway, this is getting longer than I want it to be, but this guy pulls up and he springs out of the truck. He's like a jackrabbit or something. He has so much energy. And he calls down. He's like, "Are you all right?" I said, "Well," told him the same thing. He goes, "Just hold on." And he starts, I can see this up on the highway. He starts flagging down traffic like a madman. This is on a highway. And people are going slow because it's a blizzard. He like would jump out in front of cars, right, to stop. So he stops this big truck, this big pickup truck. And the guy's like, he gets out. It's Christmas Eve, people are, and it's late. But so they kind of have this fake, "I'm going to help people" attitude, but reluctantly, right? And the guy's like, "Is this four-wheel drive?" And the driver of the truck's like, "Yeah." And he just springs into action. He's like, I've got a tow strap here in my car." And he just starts barking out orders to this random poor guy who pulled over. And um, he jumps down the hill, he slides under my car. The guy's in a t-shirt. It's freezing outside, and he's covered in tattoos. He's got all these piercings. He's wearing some kind of metal t-shirt, metal band, and two times he jumps under my truck because the truck tow strap came off. Um, so anyway, he compels this guy to help me get pulled to safety, and he had the tow strap. He had a smaller vehicle. And then once I'm back on the road, he's like, he compelled me to come with him to his house. And I learned it was actually his mom's house. And so he compelled me to come. He's like, "The road's closed ahead. It's late. It's Christmas Eve. Don't go to a hotel. Just come with me." And so his mom, like they fed me, and his mom was mad because this guy, he had gone. Uh, his kids were there. They were there for Christmas Eve. He was there with his kids, and I guess he forgot something at his place. He went back to get whatever presents or whatever, and he just didn't come back to his mom's house. It had been hours. The whole time he was out there saving people who had gone off the road. And um, anyway, uh, there's nothing I could do to repay this guy. And I was so grateful. And this is the kind of person that most of you folks who are more righteous than me would pass by on the street and just write him off, Um, well, here's another story, and this is what I actually thought about while I was lifting weights. This guy I met years back, and a mutual acquaintance phoned me up, and he said, "Hey, there's this guy. He's getting out of jail. He doesn't really have any friends because he's been in and out of the system his whole life. He could really use a friend." And I said, "Okay." So um, I don't remember how we got introduced or whatever, but he was a really cool guy. So I ended up spending a bunch of time with him, and um, the guy just had he had like an innocent kind of love in his heart. It's the only way I could describe it, like a childlike, uh, like just a uniform broadcasting love. And kids are up and down with this. This is not so uniform, but if you know kids, you know what I mean. And yeah, he's just like that with everybody all the time. And yet he's a convict, right? That's what most people would just classify him. This guy fits in this little box. And every minute I ever spent with the guy was just very uplifting to me. And it's funny because I think we've envisioned these experiences as we're giving something. But in reality, it was just, he got a lot out of it, but I think it was me who was getting most out of it. But the thought that occurs to me is this recurring theme that God, he's put a wealth of, he's put treasure into our lives by sprinkling goodness across the entire world, and that's in people and in things. But obviously, I'm thinking about people this morning, and it's as if we're in a store that has a lot of things that really aren't very nice, but some things that are. And our Father owns the store. And when he takes us into the store, he says, you can have anything you want in here. Just take it, it's yours. And the things on the shelf, they're like the qualities in people. And everyone we meet, if there's something in them that we recognize as good, then we can have it. And maybe we get to have it through, excuse me, a relationship with, excuse me, with the person that embodies the trait. But ideas are fully transmissible, and you can just take them and make them yours and build on them even. Or you could also take them partially. And these qualities in these people, when you encounter a wild man who jumps off the highway and rescues you on Christmas Eve, you can decide that you're going to do that too, in whatever scope you might be in, because you see that as good. And with my other example, you can extract the value within people and see the principles that are driving these things, the desires, the actions, the reasons, and you can make them your own. So you go around collecting these things, and then at the end of all that, or maybe on the way, people can use you too, because you're also something on the shelf. Because God says that same thing to everybody. And he says, everything in here is mine, but you can have whatever you want. So it's hard to effectively convey the depth of feeling, when I think about these people. And that's another treasure that's available to us. I think we just get so hung up on superficiality, but there's so much there. Anyway.